The display settings in Windows 10 can have a significant impact on your user experience. Let's take a look. Is your screen too bright? Are you having trouble seeing text, icons, and buttons on your screen? I have great news. The display settings built into Windows 10 could make your day a little less painful. Here are the different sections within the display settings. Okay, what you need to do is right-click on your desktop and choose Display Settings. Here, you will see a virtual representation of your computer monitor setup on your physical desk. What that means is, just imagine those two boxes numbered 1 and 2 represent the screens sitting on your desk in front of you. If you only have one screen, you'll see just one box with the number 1. Since I have 2 screens, I have 2 boxes labeled 1 and 2. It's important that they're arranged in order so that you can utilize both screens correctly. Those of you who have experience with this know that if the screens aren't in the correct order, you won't be able to drag windows from left to right or right to left. You can actually click and drag the boxes around to change the order of the screens to match their actual location on your desk. If you click the Identify button, it shows a number in the center of each screen, which is pretty nifty. I've seen people physically move the screens on their desks so that their setup works correctly, but this is how you should be doing it instead. If you have multiple screens and one or more of them are not showing up in your settings, there could be a problem with the connection or a Windows driver. Clicking the Detect button sometimes fixes the problem. If it does not, then you'll need to consult with an IT professional or Google. If you do rearrange your screens here, make sure you click the Apply button to save the changes. If you don't want to save, click Cancel. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the brightness and color section. This is where you can adjust your screen if it's too bright or too dim. The brighter your screen is, the harder it is on your eyes over a long period of time. Also, brighter screens use more battery power, so keep both of those things in mind. I won't get into the science of it all, but lowering the brightness may reduce eye strain and possibly even headaches. I know I always do. To adjust the brightness, simply click and drag this little slider here from left to right. You can't see it change on my screen because it's actually changing my other screen's brightness at the moment. Moving on down to the night light setting. This is new to Windows 10. If you plan on sitting in a dark room or you don't turn on your lights at night, this setting will automatically change your screen's tint to a shade of orange that's more soothing on your eyes. I believe Microsoft is using a little sleep science here. Studies have shown that the typical whitish blue light emitted by LCD screens can keep you up at night or impact your sleep. So the orange tint that the night light setting gives you is supposed to limit those negative effects. In addition, it makes the light from the screen less harsh on your eyes. If you want to use this feature, toggle the on and off button and then click on the night light settings option below. These are the settings you can configure. The Turn On Now button is meant to allow you to turn it on at any time, regardless of whether it's nighttime or not. The Strength option allows you to modify the tint to suit your preference. The Schedule section allows you to choose the default sunset to sunrise times, or you can set your own hours. When finished, click the back button in the top left corner of the screen. Okay, let's move on. The next group of settings is for Windows HD Color. These are not very common to use, so I'm not really going to spend time covering this. If your job or your lifestyle requires even better quality of graphics, you may need to adjust these settings. I suggest Googling this for more info. Let's go down to the Scale and Layout section. This is where you can configure the size and shape of your screen and other things. The first menu here is where you can change the size of the text, apps, and other things on the screen. The recommended setting is 125%, which is just about perfect for most people with good vision. However, if you require things to look larger, which is perfectly fine, then you may want to choose a larger number. Now, I've also worked with people who either have excellent vision or they like seeing more things on their screen, so they went with 100%. I can't handle that, so I stick with 125. If you go down to display resolution, this determines the size of the picture on your screen, basically the aspect ratio. If you've ever switched between a square-shaped monitor and a rectangular one, odds are you needed to change the resolution to match the new shape of the screen. Otherwise, you end up with a distorted picture or your screen being cut off at the top and bottom or sides. 1920 by 1080 is a pretty common setting, but what you choose really varies depending on the monitor you use. Display orientation simply allows you to choose between landscape and portrait view. This is more prevalent with mobile devices that you may rotate often. Landscape is the standard view for a computer screen, where it's like a rectangle laying on its side. Portrait would be used if your screen is rotated long ways up and down like a skyscraper. This is not very common, but I've seen software developers do this. The multiple displays section is very important for those of you using more than one monitor, which is extremely common at work or if you have a home office. The most popular option in the menu here is Extend these displays. This is what you would use to take advantage of more screen real estate. In other words, you can use multiple screens to spread out your windows. The Show Only on One or Show Only on Two options is for those of you who have multiple screens but you don't want to use both. You may dislike using multiple screens, or maybe you're having problems with one of the screens. This is how you would restrict the display to just one screen. The Duplicate these displays option will enable you to basically mirror whatever is on one screen so that it's also displayed on the other screen. One of the more common uses of this option would be if you're presenting something to a group on a large screen or projector, and the person presenting wants to be able to see the same thing on both their laptop and on the big screen. Another use would be if you have a small laptop and you hook it up to a larger screen and you just want to use the larger screen and leave your laptop open on your desk. In that case, duplicating the display is helpful. In most scenarios, Extend these displays is the more commonly used setting. These last three options down here are very uncommon, so I'm not going to cover them in this lesson. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below and I'll respond as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to click the subscribe button down below.